Poetic Justice tells the story of Justice, played by Janet Jackson, and Lucky, played by Tupac Shakur, two strangers deeply affected by the ghetto around them. Once they meet, they fall for each other and slowly begin to learn how to mentally escape the ghetto. A street romance. So, Poetic Justice came out in 1993 or 1995 for us UK losers. It was written and directed by Singleton, his second film after Boys in the Hood. Boys in the Hood was critically acclaimed, of course, but it was also criticized for being mostly male-dominated. I mean, it was called Boys in the Hood for a reason, but I guess it was a fair point. So, Singleton kept that complaint in mind when making his next film, Poetic Justice. Yes, it still has the same feel as Boys in the Hood. It's set in the ghetto, it features many of the same actors from Boys in the Hood, and it shows us the male's perspective, but it's much more from the female's point of view this time. And upon release, it was appreciated for that. Critics praised the chemistry between Janet Jackson and Tupac, and its soundtrack was so well acclaimed that Janet Jackson's song, Again, was Oscar nominated for Best Original Song. And it's easy to see why. That song is so good, even the instrumental version elevates the scenes to new heights. However, Poetic Justice was still heavily criticized for its screenplay being unfocused. And I think that's a fair complaint. That's one of the many things I noticed about it when I first saw it back in 2021. But it also inspired me as a writer, because when Singleton wrote the screenplay, he did what most screenwriters try to avoid. Yet the film still turned out great. In fact, I've only been a fan of it for 5 years now, but for the past 5 years it's since become one of my go-to films whenever I feel low. It has a wonderful, youthful spirit that's utterly infectious. So I'm here to celebrate it, give it some love, and also analyze it to appreciate it on a deeper level. Let's talk about Poetic Justice, and no spoilers for now, guys. So let's get the obvious out of the way. Our two leads are wonderful here. This was Janet Jackson's debut performance and Tupac's second performance, which is nothing like the monster he played in his first film. They're both brilliant, and I don't just mean their wonderful chemistry together, I mean even before they properly hang out at the 40-minute mark. I love Ice Cube, but I am so glad he turned down the role of Lucky, because this is easily my favorite Tupac performance, hands down. And the fact that Jackson won Worst Actress at the Razzies for her performance here is an injustice, pun intended.
Got it!
Conveying a mental illness as complex as PTSD is no easy task, but I think she pulled it off in her first big acting gig. Crazy talent. And even though this is partly a romantic film, this is mainly a hood film, showing us how our heroes obtain mental freedom while stuck in the ghetto's trap. Justice is a hairdresser, traumatized after her boyfriend was murdered right in front of her. The ghetto took away everything that mattered to her, so she remains guarded and distant, hiding her true, vulnerable feelings in her private poems. I'll be honest, I'm not that interested in the poems here, and I don't think they add much to the film at all, but it is a decent layer to this wonderful character. I don't hate them. Lucky may not be traumatized like Justice, but he still shares her distaste for the hood. He has an honest job as a postman, and he cares for his daughter deeply, but he also wants to remove himself and his daughter from all the crimes and drugs.
I can't have my baby around that stuff.
He's above all of this. And what makes Justice and Lucky engaging is how Singleton incorporates the tiny little details that bring the world around them to life, showing us what the ghetto's like and who these characters really are. Look, if you've seen my review of Friday, you'll know that I appreciated the way it incorporated these strange dead-end details, these little moments that may distract from the film's journey but still conveyed realism, showing us that the side characters have their own journeys going on off screen. It brought the world to life and sold us the illusion that we were watching something real. Well, I give the same credit here in Poetic Justice. There are so many tiny moments here that go nowhere, but they still bring the world to life. At the salon, Justice's boss sends this kid to go to the store for her.
And bring me my change back.
They serve these customers who seem to have their own dynamic going on where the man talks for the woman.
My girl need her hair and her nails done.
Lucky in Chicago's banter with their Mexican co-worker.
Get on out of here, man.
Oh, get the zip codes right. Essay.
Lucky giving money to this homeless guy.
Don't smoke it. Take a stab, too. Oh, God bless you, brother.
On the road trip, Lucky gets in a jokey argument with this trucker over who gets to use the gas pump first.
Excuse me. Hey!
It just lets these side characters breathe and exist on their own terms instead of just being here to serve the script. And when they are used to serve the script, Singleton does it in such a natural way, it's hard to even detect it. For example, the characters surrounding Justice and Lucky represent the temptations of the hood, yet our heroes remain strong. Justice's boss tries to get her to start dating again, seeing them as nothing but tools, like she does.
A man ain't nothing but a tool.
Even her best friend Aisha tries to get her to share her self-destructive ways.
Girl, don't you know the world is just a big place for us to go out and fuck up in it?
But Justice refuses. It's all great stuff, but my favorite example is the sequence we get about 18 minutes in, where Lucky meets his ex-girlfriend to give her money to buy their daughter clothes. Let me break it down. When he gets out of his car, Lucky bumps into an old buddy of his, Lloyd and his gang-banging friends.
Looking for some busters to jack.
Lucky shakes his head. Then...
Remember Lil D? Man, yesterday he got his ass capped out.
What?
We gonna get the fools that got him. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no thing with a chicken wag.
Yeah. See you.
Despite his shock, Lucky doesn't get involved. He shakes his head in disappointment, but he doesn't preach or make himself a target. He just distances himself in a playful, light way and makes his way to his ex's home. Smart. Then it continues. He bumps into another buddy, Bone, a drug dealer. Bone offers Lucky weed, but
Nah, they checking my piss at work.
Lucky prioritizes his job over temptation. And as subtle as it is, the simple fact that Lucky gets along with Bone speaks volumes. Because Bone has a son with Lucky's ex. They have the same ex-baby mother. Yet there's no territorial ex-boyfriend drama at all. Plus, Lucky instantly removes his daughter from the chaos the moment he sees it. But Bone doesn't protect his son at all.
Ain't nothing wrong with her, man. She just crazy as hell, if anything.
He's too desensitized by the hood to see it as a problem. He doesn't take his son away from a mother like that. He doesn't spot the issue. And the fact that Lucky's druggy ex had a son with a man like Bone is no surprise. Either way, Lucky then finds evidence of drugs and other naughtiness, so he removes his daughter from the chaos. And after he gets pulled into the hole, he quickly pulls himself right back out and protects his daughter. Now, this is why I love this sequence so much. The whole point of it is to show us that Lucky is above the trap of the ghetto. But all Singleton had to do was have Lucky visit his ex, find evidence of drugs, and take his daughter away. That would have been enough to show us how productive and healthy Lucky is. But instead, Singleton did what screenwriters tend to avoid. He took this simple, straightforward sequence and complicated it, but with a purpose. He incorporated these extra subtle layered character interactions to truly show us who Lucky is without forcing exposition on us. This sequence could have been about what Lucky does, but with a shake of his head, a playful goodbye, turning down weed, and simply getting along with his ex's ex, this sequence becomes more about what Lucky doesn't do, what he avoids. Yet it's easy to miss because the entire thing feels natural. It's hard to even notice Singleton telling us all of this. We just feel like a fly on the wall watching all of this play out. Heck, along the way, we get this small moment.
How you doing, Miss Jackson?
And if I see you with her again, you won't have any
We never see that woman again. She gets no dialogue, and we can only assume that she's upset at Bone because he's a drug dealer. It's such a natural, dead-end detail that goes nowhere, just like in real life. But it works. It's great writing that doesn't even feel like writing. Honestly, I think that whole sequence is incredible. I really do. But I'll admit, plenty of the dead-end details do clutter up the pace for me, and go to show why plenty of screenwriters try to avoid doing them. We spend the first 2 minutes of the film watching this fake movie with Billy Zane. And at the salon, Justice's boss mockingly asks her if she's still mourning the boyfriend who was killed right in front of her.
And when you gonna get a man? What, you still in mourning?
And Justice doesn't react to that? It's really weird. We also see this homosexual side character get some bad news on the phone, but we never learn what it is. Now, I know that it's implying that he just found out he had AIDS, and that this small side character has his own life going on off screen, but it still feels frivolous to me. We already knew just how deadly the Ghetto was before, and by making his problem a mystery, we spend time waiting for an answer that never comes. And after that scene where Justice cries alone, we get a quick cut of Chicago and Aisha getting jiggy with it. Then we cut to Lucky and his mother. But once the road trip to Oakland begins, things pick up. This part feels like a bonus. Justice and Lucky were already interesting characters when they were alone, but together, it is such a treat. Lucky wants to see his cousin to work on music, and Justice has a hair show to work for. However, these guys do not get along. They see each other through their triggers and have a fight. In anger, they both fall into the trap of acting like the hood stereotypes they themselves resent.
I better not see your ass in LA, okay?
But I love how their bitterness slowly melts into affection as they both fight against their accompanying friends, who both represent the Ghetto.
That's why I never go any place with you, because you always acting crazy.
I also love how, when it starts hitting traditional romantic beats, Poetic Justice does it on its own terms. In most romantic pieces, the road trip would have begun like 10 minutes in, not 40 minutes like it does here. But Singleton wanted to spend a lot of time establishing the Ghetto as its own character, and I respect that. But it's time I talk about heavy spoilers now, guys. Here we go. The dead-end details continue, and for me, they're really hit or miss. On the road trip, they stop at this family barbecue. So much of the random chit-chat bores me. I appreciate Maya Angelou getting a cameo here, because in real life she wrote Justice's poems, but it's so drawn out. The same goes for the funfair scene. I just think it should have been cut out. And this quick scene on the beach where we all hear the characters' thoughts.
And why didn't I go to college?
Damn, she kinda cute.
I gotta call Terry with his fine ass.
I can just find me another bitch.
It feels weird. I don't know. Poetic Justice just fumbles around, going nowhere. I also think the arguing between Aisha and Chicago goes on way too long. It also annoys me how Chicago is singled out when Aisha is arguably just as bad as him. But all of this zigging and zagging does lead to the wonderful kissing scene. Justice opens up to Lucky and tells him about her mother. We learn that her mother named her Justice because she was going to law school. Her mother had hoped to make something of her life, but the struggles of the environment and drinking led to her suicide. And Justice, as a child, found her mother's body. Damn. Her whole life was seemingly built with hope, but the Ghetto took that away from her. We now know that Justice's hatred for the hood began long before her boyfriend died right in front of her. It hurts, man. I love this part too. Just after she drops her guard, she kisses Lucky. But the guard comes back up and she stops. She walks away, faces her fears, closes her eyes, and with one big breath, lets go of her past. She allows herself to love again. She then goes back to him for some more
Unconditional love. No doubt.
To me, it doesn't feel like a cheesy typical romantic B. It really goes to show the effect your environment can have on you, even during the kissing scene. Two souls have just connected through their pain caused by the hood. I dig it. But after that, we go back to zigging and zagging. When we get to Oakland, in a brilliant unbroken take, we see Lucky discover that his cousin has just been shot dead. And the acting by Tupac is just wonderful. Especially the actress playing Lucky's auntie, man. Look at those tears. A wonderful performance by an actress who's barely in this film. This is insane. And now, just like Justice, Lucky knows what it's like to lose a loved one via gunshot. It just hurts to watch. I also get the impression that the reason why Lucky and Justice didn't notice the crime scene when they arrived was because that's a sight they've grown accustomed to back at home. They're numb to flashing lights, sirens, and crime scenes. And if I'm right about that, then I respect Singleton's use of subtlety even more now. But sadly, the unconventional writing does plague this ending turning point. Throughout the film, it's slightly mentioned that Lucky wanted a career in rapping, but he never believed in himself. He only praised his cousin's rapping. Now that his cousin is dead, Lucky chooses to use all of his cousin's expensive studio equipment instead of selling it all.
To know what you're gonna do with the equipment.
What you think we should do?
Give it to me. I'll do something with it. I'll do what he would have wanted me to do.
Instead of being defeated by the hood, Lucky rises above it and uses his cousin's death as motivation to chase his dreams and escape. Now I do like this, but it does feel like a forced way to close Lucky's arc. Lucky's passion for music is kind of mentioned,
Finally gonna work on this music thing.
but not enough for it to be a big part of his character. I am glad we don't see him rapping much because that would break the fourth wall for us. We'd only see Tupac rapping, not the character Lucky. But at the same time, not showing us his rapping skills, and then implying that he's going to use those skills to escape the hood, doesn't feel earned to me. It's a half-baked arc. What also doesn't help is that we never got to meet Lucky's cousin, so we don't share Lucky's loss. It mainly reduces the cousin to a plot point. And it's crazy how Singleton chose to give all of those small characters screen time, but not Lucky's cousin, or Lucky's talent for rapping. Two huge parts of the story. And as if those random moments didn't do enough damage, they also return in the final scene too. At the salon, a random argument between two customers breaks out, and I just can't work out why it had to be there.
I'ma slap them eyes out of your head.
Hey, we're not having that here.
But thankfully it is disposed of quickly, and then the scene turns into something wonderful. I appreciate how, when we see Lucky enter the salon, we hear someone off screen say, "Ain't that the mailman?" Totally unnecessary. The extra effort of recording someone saying that just to establish that an off-screen character recognized that this guy works as a postman. That's weird, but the extra effort for a tiny detail like that helps pull me in and sell me the illusion that I'm watching something real. And the acting between our two leads is perfection. That hopeful look on Lucky's face as he realizes that he might have found a good woman to raise his daughter with, it's infectious. We then learn that the film's point isn't the same typical one most romantic films push. Love is the answer. You'll never be anything if you stay single. No, the point is you can escape your traumas, and these two learnt that after they met. But even if they don't stay together, it's fine. The relationship isn't the point. What they learnt is. Just by itself, I find this ending moving. But now that I know Tupac died only a few years after this scene was shot, I'm left with a real bittersweet feeling that stays with me as the credits roll. I'm glad that we got to see such talent from this guy, but knowing that he was killed by the very thing his character Lucky managed to escape hurts. The same goes for the actor who played as Lloyd, and the actor who killed Justice's boyfriend in the intro. He also killed Ricky in Boys in the Hood. It's such a shame that these actors were killed by the trap their films portrayed, but at least we'll always have these great time capsules to remember them by. So, in the end, Poetic Justice is a strange journey indeed, but it's one that moves me. The chemistry and performances between our two leads really is something special. Their scenes are elevated by the wonderful soundtrack, and none of it feels forced or melodramatic to me. It's a human story that gets to me every time. Yes, it's cluttered and unfocused at times, but I appreciate how John Singleton thought outside of the box when writing this. Most of these strange choices here have inspired my own writing, so much so that I made this video to celebrate and understand his writing even better, and I don't feel like I wasted my time doing so, cause damn, this film touches me. I'm gonna give Poetic Justice an 8 out of 10. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay jiggy. The better appreciate ya.